Kari Lake. I said it early. All right, Kari, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Your top line thoughts, go ahead.
I'm numb. I'm devastated. I'm hurt. And I'm very, very sad for Erica and the children and our state, our country. I'm sad that things have gone so off the rails, that we lost such an incredible leader. You know, Charlie's a friend of mine. Charlie lived in Arizona, and I spent many, many hours with Charlie on the campaign trail, and of course at wonderful Turning Point events where he made it feel like you were at a rock concert and you were celebrating America, and you were celebrating political involvement. He took a generation of kids that weren't politically involved but were being politically brainwashed and said, no, you got to get involved. If you want to have a good future, you've got to chart the course for your future and not just get riled up, not just get, you know, bent out of shape about stuff, but take the energy, take your love for the country and put it to use. And he showed them how to be political activists in the best way. And not only did he show a young generation, he brought their parents along with them. I was at so many Turning Point events with Charlie, and there were moms and dads there with their kids. It just was the most amazing movement. He created the greatest political movement we've ever seen. And I'm sickened that in front of the group of his generation who he has been inspiring, that he was taken out with an assassin's bullet. This was a trained assassin. And they took out my friend Charlie, an incredible husband, an incredible father, an incredible son, and an incredible Christian. You know, Charlie just didn't do politics because he realized that there's so much more to life than just politics. There was your salvation. Yeah. And every week he did events in churches around Arizona. And he is a man who has returned to Christ now. He's with Christ now. But not only that, he got thousands of others to come back to Christ. Maybe people who'd strayed away and have come back. And so I know that Charlie is in a better place, but boy, does this world feel like a worse place without him. In 31 years, Rob, what he had accomplished, what he did, I talked to my daughter, I called her rather, and she was crying. She worked for Charlie for a time. Yeah. And I'll never forget when she quit Turning Point, Charlie said, what? Why is Ruby leaving? And I said, well, she's taken your advice. You know, she took the advice to not go to college and to go out and chart her course. And then she took Charlie's advice, and she wants to settle down, get married, and start a family. And while he was sad to see her leave Turning Point, he said, well, that's a really good reason. So he just told kids that they've been fed a bunch of lies and kind of gave them a dose of common sense. And boy, he's going to be missed. Yeah. I've been sobbing today, and I know I'm not the only one.
No.
Down on my knees praying when I first heard he was shot, literally on my knees praying that he could be saved. But then I saw that terrible video, and I realized that it didn't look like he could be saved. And then we found out, of course, the terrible news. So heart is broken for Erica. And we're going to be here. We're going to rally around and be your support system. And the prayers are going out fast and furious right now. Yeah.
But we're going to make sure that Erica and those kids, as I said to Sage Steele, they are not going to have to worry about anything other than missing Dad. That will be the only concern that they're going to have. That is 100%
I just thought of something, though. One of the things I love most about Charlie was that randomly you just get a text. I know I'm not the only one out there. I just get a text message, and I go, what was Charlie? And he would just send a Bible verse or a prayer out of the blue, not in a response to another, it just out of the blue. And that's where he was. He was a true Christian. He didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. And he's going to be missed. And he had a brilliant political mind, a brilliant mind. I took tons of advice from him. Yeah. And you think that he not only gave so many people the stage to talk about policies and views that are so important, and helped create some of the greatest political people we have in our country right now, and has created an entire movement. This movement will not stop with an assassin's bullet. We're going to keep the fight going. We owe it to Charlie, and we owe it to our country to do that.
Yeah, and the reason that this happened today was because he was so effective, and he was such a force against something that is so ugly in this country, and that ugly thing knew no other way than to
I think
take this young man out.
Destined. to be the youngest president this country had ever seen. I really do believe that Charlie eventually would have run for president and would have made an incredible president. And, they just had to stop him because he was such a force.
Yeah.
What he did in 31 years, imagine the next 31 years.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of evil people who want to stop someone like Charlie. And unfortunately, today a bullet stopped him. But what he has created, his legacy will live on in this movement. He's the great patriot. There should be statues of Charlie Kirk. I think I saw somebody said, put a statue of Charlie Kirk on every college campus, because he helped turn the tide for this young generation. And not just, as I said, by complaining and griping, by showing them what it means to get active and giving them the steps to do it. And I love him dearly, and I'm just absolutely devastated that he's gone.
You take a place that they thought that they had captured, right, which were the universities. They thought they had, the Marxist left in this country thought that they had captured these universities, and nearly all of them. How many conservative universities do you hear about? There's like one or two that we talk about. Every other one is captured by this ideology, all of their faculty and so many of the kids. And the kids are so easy to capture. And you had this young man, and he was so young. Today I learned that he was, I didn't know he was only 31. I said, God, he's only 31. He was so young for what he had done. He had been such a big influence at such a young age. And he was just such a force against that they knew no other way than to kill. And that is just, it's heartbreaking, but it's also, it shows you just how powerful he is, and just how much the ugliest part of our society feared him and feared what he had done, and how many tens of thousands of kids went from being brainwashed by that very toxic, very anti-American ideology to moving towards at least common sense. And like I said to Sage, if you look at the election numbers this year, how much of that credit of the young vote goes to Charlie and what he was able to do. It's just fascinating how hard he can work. Yeah.
And chasing the ballots. He went out and they said, look, if they're going to do this mail-in ballot thing, we got to go out and make sure that not one of them sits in a mailbox. We got to get out and make sure they are returned. And the chase the ballot work that Turning Point did was incredible. Charlie Kirk is part of the reason that we have an amazing president named Donald J. Trump sitting in the White House. And I know the president is crestfallen tonight, devastated tonight. And especially, I'm not the only one who thought about it. Had President Trump not turned his head ever so slightly to look up at that graphic, he would have met the same fate that Charlie Kirk met today. And that sent a chill down my spine thinking about that today.
Yeah. And just the fact that I reiterate that we don't live in a society where we all agree on free speech any longer, which is something that I think as early as 20 years ago, if not less, it was mutually agreed upon from both political parties. You should be able to say whatever the hell you want. I used to talk to Alan Dershowitz a lot about how they used to Ku Klux Klan. They would have rallies, and Democrats would fight to protect their right to be that offensive, and their right to be able to march and to have their rallies in the middle of cities. That's gone now. That is gone now. That's completely. The Democrats have now decided that there's a lot of things that you just can't say, and the messaging I'm hearing today from the left, especially in the left media, has been that Charlie Kirk said things that you shouldn't say, and this is kind of what you get. And we can play a little bit of it here from MSNBC. Take a listen.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
That's a guy on MSNBC basically giving somewhat of a pass for the action that was taken against Charlie Kirk. The right answer to that is no matter what you say in this country, your speech should be protected, your voice should be heard, and combat it with sense, with common sense, with argument, with conversation. This is not, they're forgiving this. They're saying he said a lot of really bad stuff, and this is kind of what happens. And I'm hearing that from all over the Democrat Party and the left tonight.
Well, so many people are waking up and realizing that we've been fed a lot of lies. Whether you woke up 10 minutes ago, 10 years ago, in the past decade, a lot of people have woken up, and the truth is very dangerous to the evil people who've been spreading a lot of lies over the years. And they're trying to stop it. And you're not just seeing it here in America. Look what's happening in the UK and all over across the world. People's freedom to express themselves being taken away. And there's no excuse ever for this kind of violence. This is a political assassination of an incredible young man. And I'm not going to let MSNBC take anything away from Charlie Kirk's legacy. Charlie Kirk was one of the most kind human beings I've ever met. He loved people. He wanted to debate you. I mean, how dangerous is a debate? My goodness sakes. He didn't want to call people terrible names. He wanted to debate you. And he went on college campuses, and he made kids who really probably stood up to the microphone and didn't think they had anything in common with Charlie, and maybe they had opposite viewpoints. I saw so many of those videos, I'm not alone, where you'd watch the youngster that was standing there listening to Charlie, debating with him. You almost watched the light bulb go off in their mind when they realized, oh my gosh, he's right. And I work with a lot of people over, and my campaign was filled with Turning Point kids who had either volunteered or worked there. Here in Washington, D.C., a lot of the young people that are working in the administration worked at some point with Turning Point, whether in its early days or recently. He has an incredible army of young people that he helped push into the world, who are going to seize the day and make sure that they seize the moment, this moment where we have a chance to save our country. Charlie Kirk will go down as one of the greatest patriots in this country. I mean, he's, in my opinion, to the level of the Paul Reveres, the Samuel Adams, the great, great patriots who helped save this country. And I'm devastated that he's gone. I still don't believe it. As I sit here with you, Rob, I'm just feeling like, is this a dream? Is this a nightmare? But, you know, I'm just, like everybody else in America, just stunned that he's gone.
And just and just a reminder of just how in awe of him I think we all were. I mean, I used to watch him. He was just so impressive in so many different ways, and what he could do, and how hard he worked to do the right thing. I think for this country was just amazing. Carrie Lake, good to see you.
Yeah, I just want to say one more quick thing. He was at my house. He and Erica were I invited them for dinner. It happened to be the day that President Trump endorsed me in my campaign for governor in Arizona. And I just was so excited about that. Obviously, that's huge. And he kept saying, okay, focus. You've got the endorsement. Now what's next? And we spent the next 2.5 hours strategizing. And here he was back then, 28, I think. And he had me thinking about everything I needed to do. By the end of the night, I think I had 2 notepads full of advice from Charlie Kirk, and it was the best political advice
from a 28-year-old.
I ever received.
And that's the wildest part. He was 28 years old.
28.
Wow. It's impressive. Wow. Carrie Lake, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Reset here for a moment, guys. Just give you up to date on the news. Obviously, we know what happened today at a university in the state of Utah.